Sound to your mind.
Breathe. I stay quiet as I light on my loud light. Breathe. I balance diet, I'm just trying to get my pounds right. Breathe. I stay quiet as I light on my loud light. Breathe. I balance diet, I'm just trying to get my pounds right. Shouts all of my team, I need more than a mattress support in my dreams. Could grab a few Zeds like I'm falling asleep, but I don't wanna wake for the morning. Grief, breathe. Tears drop to the form in the sea. A broke heart, but it's worn in my sleeve. Never listened, I was warned in my teens, but I still skipped school, I was taught in the streets. Ring back, don't call for police. Stand tall, don't fall for the beast. Got issues with trust, so I'm born to believe. We've been a victim of love and now we're caught in it deep. Breathe.
Yes, people, what's happening? And welcome back to Gav Goes In. Big up to yourselves for coming through each and every time. Big up my guy Fitz. Yeah, guys, as soon as you come in there, if you can just smash that like button. And again, if you do enjoy the content, make sure you sub as well. And check out all the other content. There's some good content that's up. You know, they're all in playlists as well. So, as I said, man, there is a lot of stuff for you to get through if you guys enjoy obviously my discussions on all things football, Manchester United. So yeah, it's all there for you guys, but big up yourselves each and every time. Big up to Lumi Rain as well. Says lots of rumors today about Myles Lewis-Skelly to United. Would you take him, and what's the most you would pay for him? You know what, I think we touched on this slightly yesterday, myself and Fitz. So what I would say about the Lewis-Skelly one, it's a signing really that's literally come out of the blue. You know, did I believe Man United would be looking at Lewis-Skelly? I didn't, you know, but I think it's quite obvious to see that, you know, he's down the pecking order in terms of left backs for Arsenal. You know, as I said, you got Hincapie, you got Calafiori, and obviously Lewis-Skelly is third now, you know, and again, this was a guy that a lot of Arsenal fans thought that he was going to be the long-term solution for England at left back and for Arsenal. And the fact that he's actually a midfielder and he can't even get game time in midfield or at left back now, yeah, I think it's obvious to see why he'll be looking at moving on. Do I think he'll be a good signing for United? I think based on what we've got there right now, as I said, you guys know that I see Patrick Dorgu as a long-term solution at left back, and I'll tell you why, you know, once we've discussed what we're going to go through. But again, I do think Lewis-Skelly, if we're going to play possession-based and he plays left back, I think he's going to be a good option. But again, the price, how much is he going to cost? Because I'm pretty sure he might have signed a new contract at Arsenal as well. But I think if you're going to pay about between 30 to 40 million for Lewis-Skelly, then I think, yeah, I can see that, you know. But again, in terms of priority, he's not really a priority for me because I think we got Dorgu there, as I said. But I do think someone like Lewis-Skelly, you know, has come out of the blue. And again, we're hearing that he's been pushed from his side as well because he's not getting too much game time, which you can kind of see why. Because again, this is a guy that probably would have looked here at the start of the season. He'll definitely be on the plane to America for the World Cup for England. I think it's quite obvious now that he's definitely not going unless, you know, there's an injury crisis at left back. But again, they've got players that can play in the squad that can play both sides as well. So, yeah, I think the Lewis-Skelly one is more going to be about if Man United, because again, Lewis Hall's not realistic. You know, Balde and Alphonso Davies. I mean, if we could get those two, I mean, what signings they would be, you know, for many reasons. El Hadji Malik Diouf, again, is someone that's mentioned. Nathaniel Brown is another one. So again, if we can't get those players and Lewis-Skelly is attainable for a good price, then again, why wouldn't you do it? You know what I mean? But at the moment, again, we have to wait and see, man, because there is other areas of the team that need to be addressed first, you know. Big up to Babs One Diva. Big up yourself each and every time for coming through. And Fitz says the Next Gen 50 and Greats of the Game are top tier playlists. Yeah, guys, those of you that haven't viewed the Next Gen 50 and the Greats of the Game, basically what that is, the next Gen 50 is players under the age, I think, of 21, I think it might be, that are tipped to be stars of the future. So that was something that I done a little while ago. So again, if you guys want to go and check that out, there's loads of different players that are on there that I've discussed that are actually making waves in the game right now. And obviously, great to the game is legends of the game. Again, it's another talk, 5 or 10 minute talk from past legends that I've discussed. And again, for me, it's important not to forget these kind of players because, you know, some of these players, you know, are some of the greats to play the game. And as I said, man, it's been enjoyable talking about some of these players. So again, if you guys get a chance, go and check that out. Greats of the Game and the Next Gen 50. Okay, they are in the playlist, as Fitz has said, and there's quite a few to go through as well. And if there's any other players that you guys would like to see me discuss as well, then yeah, just drop that in the chat. And I've got one that should be coming out, I think probably tomorrow or next day. I can't remember. But again, another player that's been highly forgot about as well. But anyway, guys, we're gonna get into it. We are definitely gonna get into it. So again, what you guys can see, obviously, as a title, can Man United line up with this next season? So again, you know, 3 midfielders that I haven't been shy of discussing that should be the 3 main targets for me. And that is Sandro Tonali, Eduardo Camavinga, and Carlos Baleba. So they're going to be the 3 main targets that I believe we should be looking at, man, for sure. Because as I said, man, like there is Elliot Anderson's, the Adam Waltons, you know, the Bruno Guimaraes as well. But for me, if we was to get a midfield of Tonali, Camavinga, and Baleba, listen, give me that any day of the week, man, because I can see that being a midfield for me that has everything, and I do believe we can definitely be looking at a title charge come next season, no doubt. Yeah, Lumi, I've already touched on it already about the Lewis-Skelly. I just literally touched on it before you come into the chat. So yeah, if you want to obviously rewind back or watch it back a bit later, then yeah, I've discussed it already. So so yeah, big up yourselves. As I said, about 30 to 40 million for Lewis-Skelly. Other than that, I don't think we should be pursuing that if it's going to be more than that for a left back, personally. Big up to Karen Kumar, says Tonali. Yeah, I hear it. Kamanali and Balanu, says Fitz. Yeah, listen. Camavinga, Tonali, Baleba, Kobe Manu as a 4. Tell me if there ain't a better 4 than that 4 in the Premier League. Tell me. Because because there ain't, you know what I mean? So big up to Foxy Danny as well. Big up yourself. Big up to Delbert Marshall, new in the chat as well. Big up yourself coming through. But guys, what I'm going to do, I'm going to share my screen, yeah? So I'm going to go through the lineup builder. And I'm going to go through the 2 different formations, what Man United should be looking at for next season. And as I said, the players that, you know, have either been rumored to be coming to the club or players that I believe we should be looking at for next season, you know. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to share the screen, and I want you guys to let me know what you think of these addition. Spare me 1 minute. So again, so Man United next season. So started off with the 4-2-3-1, which is a formation that we are playing now as well. I know Bruno's obviously playing there, and he's playing more as a support striker, not as a number 10 traditionally. And again, this is why, for me, you know, I'm going to keep the same energy that I've been saying. We need to move him on next season, and I'll show you why in regards to what we've got already. So for me, obviously in goal, there's no debate. I think we've genuinely got, yeah. When we're looking at keepers around the world of his age, what Sané Lamens is, I believe he's what, 24, I think. I actually do believe, yeah, we have got potentially the best keeper in world football. I do think that. I think the only keepers that I'm looking at above Lemens in terms of his age and the potential that he can get to, yeah, you're looking at Donnarumma, Juan Garcia of Barcelona. Obviously, Thibaut Courtois still there. Obviously, Courtois in his 30s. But I'm looking at probably Maignan, Courtois, Donnarumma as keepers that you could probably say, Juan Garcia as well, as keepers that you could probably say are better than Lemens, you know, or could be on the same pathway as him, you know. But if you look at Courtois, you look at obviously Alisson's up there as well, but Alisson, these guys are in their 30s. You know, Courtois in his 30s. I think Donnarumma, again, Donnarumma's been around for years, but he's still only 26, I think, or 27. And then you've got Juan Garcia and Lemens that are, I think, 23, 24. So for me, Juan Garcia definitely is going to be one of them. I rate him highly. But Lemens, as I said, I think we potentially got one of the best goalkeepers in the world right now. And potentially, I think he can be, you know, top 3, no doubt. So he'll be in goal for me. Now, right back for me, we've got Mazraoui, we've got Dalot, yeah? Now, Dalot for me needs to be moved on. Whether that happens this season or not, I don't know. And I think the only way we can improve on right back, again, is if Dalot was to move on. I don't think we should be moving on Mazraoui because Mazraoui, for me, overall is better than Dalot. And I'll be more confident, even if you bring in a right back to overtake Mazraoui. Mazraoui would be a very good, you know, backup in that sense, you know. But I do think Mazraoui is good enough to be, you know, a commanding right back for Manchester United. You know, it's odd to see that since he's come back, you know, Carrick has stuck with Dalot, you know. But I definitely do think we need to improve on the fullbacks for sure. Now, what fullbacks are out there? You know, we've spoken about ones before. If I'm looking at Premier League, you know, you got the likes of Jed Spence, you've got Coyote at Brentford. And then we're struggling, really. If I'm looking at players that might be mid-20s, that can be like the long-term solution. I know many have mentioned Julian Ryerson as well at Borussia Dortmund. Again, Ryerson's, I think, is Ryerson about 28, 29? I wouldn't think there's no point bringing a Ryerson in because you've got Mazraoui that is a similar age. So again, we're looking at someone that's a bit younger. Now, there's a player at Ajax. No, not Ajax, sorry. I think he's at Feyenoord called Guevara Reed. I think potentially he's got something about him. You know, I've seen him a couple of times. He could be someone that, you know, could be potentially one of the top right backs in Europe. But when I look at right backs right now, you know, I've mentioned Reece James, Achraf Hakimi. They're the two best right backs in the world for me. And I think there's a long way down from those two, you know. So I'm looking at who's the next batch of right backs, you know, that can trouble that. You know, you got the likes of Livramento, you know, who's obviously been out injured. Jules Koundé obviously is a centre back playing right back, but I don't rate him that highly. I rate João Cancelo. He's a top player for me. But a lot of the right backs that I'm looking at, we're not really going to get. So if we are going to improve on right back, you're looking at the likes of Spence, Coyote, and Guevara Reed. Yeah. But if I'm basing it on, are we going to go and get a right back in the summer? I think that might be, you know, at the back of the queue in terms of other positions. So for now, I'm going to say Mazraoui as the right back. So I'm going to put Mazraoui in. Because I do, as I say, I do believe Mazraoui is better than Dalot, you know, and I think I can see both players actually staying next season because I don't think with what we need to be, what we need to get done in terms of the midfield, you know, the the left wing as well. I don't believe we're gonna look at right back, unfortunately, but I'm hoping that there is a bit of a change in that sense. But I think that might be last solution. Left back for me, as I said, we have been linked with a lot of left backs. Lewis Hall, obviously Lewis-Skelly now, Alphonso Davies, Alejandro Balde, Malik Diouf. We have been linked with a whole host of them, and again, I'm going to keep it 100 with you guys, and I'm going to keep with Patrick Dorgu. I think Luke Shaw, he needs to be moved out the club, whether that happens this season or next season. I'm not so sure. But long term, for me, Patrick Dorgu. I think Patrick Dorgu, as I keep saying, I've said this plenty of times, Patrick Dorgu for me is he's our Alphonso Davies type of player in terms of the physicality and the pace. And what I want to see Man United go back to, is the overlapping fullbacks. I look at Mazraoui, and can we get an upgrade in terms of overlapping fullbacks for Mazraoui? I think we can, but Mazraoui for me is a great squad player, and defensively he's sound. So I've got no worries about Mazraoui, but how I want to see Man United play is having the inverted wingers and having the overlapping fullbacks to create, that extra attacking outlet for me. And I know Dorgu's been very good at left wing. And again, if we can have Dorgu as someone that can play, I would say more as an emergency left winger, or occasionally if you want to go a different way, then I'm cool with that. But I think long term, Patrick Dorgu for me as an overlapping left back, that's what I want to see. But if we can get another left back in, like a Balde and Alphonso Davies and Nathaniel Brown, I say Lewis Hall would obviously be a dream, but that's not going to happen. A Malik Diouf, someone of that caliber, then having two left backs like that, I'm happy with, because I think Luke Shaw, his days are numbered. I don't know if Malacia is going to stay, if I'm honest with you. I think he's on the outer as well. And then you got Diego Leon as well. Maybe he needs another loan to see if he's actually ready. Who knows, but having Dorgu and Mazraoui as the two fullbacks, I definitely do think that is something to look at, man. Guys, keep your questions and comments coming through. I will get back to them. I can see a lot of Saka talk in the chat. The fact that we're talking about Saka is crazy again, because he's been a waste, man. Let's be honest, this season. Let's see. Big up to Exedra, big up my guy. So listen, Nathaniel Brown is worth a shout, but I think with Nathaniel Brown, do Man United go Premier League proven with the left back? Because if we are going to go Premier League proven, you're only realistically looking at two players for me, and that is Lewis Hall and El Hadji Malik Diouf. And again, Malik Diouf, you wouldn't really say he's Premier League proven because he's only been there for one season. But if you're looking at Premier League based, then him and Lewis Hall. And again, Lewis Hall, we're not going to get Lewis Hall because what is going to cost to get Lewis Hall? You need to try and look at other positions rather than getting Lewis Hall as the left back option for me, But again, Patrick Dorgu for me is a long-term left back. And if we can get another left back to either compete with him or cover, then that should be the way forward for me. But I hear Nathaniel Brown, but I think Brown might be behind, I believe, a few other candidates for that position for me. Let's move on to centre-back. Now, I look at the centre-backs that we have, and me personally, I like to see left-footed centre-backs on the left side, right-footed centre-backs on the right side. If we do have two right-footed centre-backs and one of them plays on the left, then so be it. But I think having that natural footer on that side is essential for me. If you look at all the best teams, look at the Man Cities, for example, you look at Barcelona, notoriously, they have left-footed players that play on the left-hand side and then right footers on the right side. You know, I think when you got a left-footed player playing on the right side, for me, it's odd. You know, but what I would say is, yeah, left foot on the left side, right foot on the right side is ideal. Again, if we could have 2 players for each position, again, going into Champions League football, you got FA Cup, Carabao Cup, Premier League season, it's ideal. Now, the fact that we've got De Ligt and we've got Euro, you know, De Ligt does get injuries. So again, having him and Euro as the right-sided centre-backs for me, you know, if you ain't got a De Ligt, you got a Euro there for me. And I think Euro, again, is going to grow after this season. And again, let's hope De Ligt can get over his injuries. But based on that, yeah, I think if we're going to go with our strongest lineup, I'm going to go with Matthijs De Ligt. And again, De Ligt for me, I would love him to become, you know, our captain personally as well. Again, let's not forget, De Ligt was Ajax's youngest ever captain, you know, when he captained them to the Europa League final against Manchester United as well. And for me, he's one of the best centre-backs in the league, you know, and the fact that he's out injured is frustrating, but I can only look at De Ligt as, you know, him hopefully getting through this season and getting past his injuries, because I definitely do think we've got one of the best defenders in this league. I look at right now, if you're looking at probably Saliba, Gabriel, Josko Gvardiol, Mark Guehi. I think Van Dijk's dropped off, but people are going to mention Van Dijk's name in there. I only look at them defenders really as being comparable, you know, or if you want to say is slightly better than De Ligt. So I think De Ligt's that good. And again, for me, we've got potentially the best young centre-back for me in Europe, in Lenny Yoro, you know. But if we're going to pick one for the right-hand side, I'm going to go with De Ligt, because I think De Ligt should be the captain for me. And as I said, man, I think if you've got De Ligt and Euro as the 2 right-sided centre-backs, you know, name me 2 right-sided centre-backs that are better than those 2 in the league. There you go. And left side, guys. Now, this is where probably it's going to throw people off, yeah? Now, Aiden Heaven for me is, I mean, to think that we got Heaven for, what, 1 million? He's going to be an absolute steal. And I think Heaven's still only young as well. And Heaven, for me, should be getting more game time come next season. Now, the left-sided centre-back for me, you know, I know there's people out there that rate Lisandro Martinez. You know, Martinez, for me, in terms of his ability on the ball, you know, his calmness on the ball, his progressive passes as well, is a standout. But I'm going to go with, and I've been saying this for ages now, I would love to see us go and get Murillo of Nottingham Forest. And I'll tell you why I would like to see Murillo of Nottingham Forest. Again, I don't think Murillo's even been called up to the Brazil national squad. I don't think. And again, it's mad when you actually think about it, yeah? Now, the reason why I want Murillo as the centre-back for Man United is because, and if we're looking at Murillo and Matthijs De Ligt as the 2 starting centre-backs for Manchester United, you know, Murillo being left-footed and De Ligt, to think if we've got a backup of Lenny Yoro and Aiden Heaven that can come in at any points of the season and make that defense solid, I'm with it, yeah? Now, the reason why I've not included Lisandro Martinez in is because I look at Murillo and look at Martinez in what they have to offer, yeah? Murillo is younger than Martinez, for one. He's quicker than Martinez. So when it comes to defending the wide areas, you know, he's got pace over Martinez. He's physically stronger as well than Lisandro Martinez. And I look at what does Martinez have over Lisandro? What does Martinez have over Murillo? I'm sorry. What does Lisandro have over over Murillo? For me, there ain't much, and that's why I'm looking at Murillo. If Nottingham Forest get relegated, you know, Murillo for what, 40, 50 million? I think that'd be an absolute steal if Forest get relegated, because I look at the fact that on the ball, he's as composed as Lisandro. His progressive passing, I don't think there's too much difference. And I think Murillo is primed to go to another level for me. You know, I think I put him in the same boat as Elliot Anderson. You've got 2 players there that can go and play for the top 6 clubs in the league. and I look at Murillo, if we don't sign Murillo, be sure that he's going to go to another top club. If you look at the Premier League, yeah, I'm looking at Liverpool. I'm looking at Chelsea. Man City don't need him because they got GavGoesIn. They just signed Mark Guehi as well, even though Guehi is right-footed. They got Diaz, Kusanov, who's going to be a top defender as well. Arsenal won't go for him because they've got Gabriel and they've got Hincapié. I actually think he'd be an upgrade for Aston Villa if they were to get Champions League football. But for me, we have to go and get Murillo in the summer because he's an upgrade on Lissandro for me. And again, there's been talk about Lissandro wanting a new contract. Not for me, depending on what, like, if you want to give Lissandro a new contract, you'll be better off, you know, cashing on Lissandro and bringing Murillo because Murillo ticks all the boxes. As I said, physically stronger, quicker in the wide areas to defend. On the ball, he's progressive passing as well. Not to mention, he's a ball carrier as well from defense, which will be crucial. You know, I think he might be slightly taller than Lissandro as well. He ticks all the boxes and he's aggressive. So Man United need to be looking at Murillo as an upgrade. You know, I wanted Mickey van der Ven, but Van der Ven has struggled as of late. And I'm looking at all these things put together. We need to be getting Murillo as that left-sided centre-back for me. I got no doubt that he's going to be a success if we get him. So I'm looking at that back four right now, yeah, of Patrick Dorgu left back, Mazraoui right back, Matthias de Ligt and Murillo as the centre-backs. And then if you got backing it up, you've got Aiden Heaven, you've got Lenny Yoro as for centre-backs. And then if Dalot does get moved on and you go and get a right back, or even if you've got Dalot as the backup, and then you go and get a left back, whether Luke Shaw stays as backup, I'd move him on. Whether Malacia stays as backup, or whether you go and get a leading left back and you got him and Dorgu contesting for that position, all of a sudden, yeah, that defense looks solid. You know, because I look at that back four right now that I've got in front of me. Dorgu, Murillo, de Ligt, and Mazraoui. Is that a title-winning defense with Lemens in goal? I definitely think that is. I'm looking at that defense and what we've got backing it up. That's a minimum second place, minimum. Because I look at our team and I don't see Arsenal really improving on what they've got. And again, when I go through the rest of the team, yeah, we'll have a squad if we sign the right players, you know, to put a serious title charge for next season. You know, guys, let me know what you think of that defense because that's a solid defense for me with what we got in reserve as well. Moving on to the midfield now. As I said, I'm going to go for the 4-2-3-1, and obviously we are going to do the 4-3-3 as well. Now, this is why I'm getting excited, guys, because if we sign three midfielders of the three that, you know, that is in the thumbnail, you can't tell me there's a better three than this three in the league for me, you know, because I think it's that good. Now, I'm going to put two of them in straight away, you know, and again, some of you that have been watching the channel will know where I'm going with this. Eduardo Camavinga, Sandro Tonali. Yeah. If we could get a midfield of Camavinga, Tonali, I know there's people out there that are saying, you know, how can you get Camavinga? Because he's been injury prone. Listen, sometimes you just got to make things happen. You know, Camavinga is one of the best midfielders in the world. It was criminal last night that, you know, Didier Deschamps didn't even bring him off the bench. And again, that's more on Deschamps for me because Deschamps is just he's a criminal of a manager, if I'm honest with you, because he's got a fascination with Adrian Rabiot. And Rabiot's a good player, man. But how Camavinga doesn't get game time is criminal, really. Yeah. But imagine if we got a midfield of Camavinga and Tonali next season, Manchester United. You can't tell me, yeah, with that back five, including Lemens, Tonali, Camavinga, you cannot tell me that isn't a strong defense there. You cannot tell me that's not a strong defense Because I'm looking at that, yeah, and I'm already thinking that 7 there, yeah. Name me a better 7 in the Premier League than that. Name me a better 7 right now. Because I look at City. City have got Donnarumma, Nunez, Nouri, Gvardiol, let's say Guehi, and then Rodri and Bernardo Silva at the moment, yeah. I look at I look at their 7. I look at that 7. Is that 7 better than is Man City 7 better than that 7? I don't think so. I don't think so. Arsenal 7, Raya, Timber, Saliba, Gabriel, Hincapié, Rice, Zubamendi. Is that better than that 7? Not for me. So if we could get a midfield like that of Camavinga, Tonali, and then you've got Baleba, you know, as the third option as well. Because by the way, I do think Man United are signing Baleba. I've got no doubts about Baleba. I've been on about getting Baleba for a couple of years now. What changes my mind about Baleba is if we could get Eduardo Camavinga, because Camavinga's a guy that I've wanted United to sign for years, and there's reports about him being available for 45 million. Listen, go and get him straight away, man, for 45 million. That is an absolute steal. And if you can get Baleba, Camavinga, and the Tonali midfield with Kobe in there as well, listen, crazy. Imagine having Tonali and Camavinga, and you've got Kobe and Baleba as well. Crazy. It's crazy, man. Listen, that's a strong midfield for me, you know. And then moving forwards, guys, this is where it gets interesting as well. Yeah. And I'm looking at if we bring in, so I'm looking at what we've got already. Yeah. We've literally got, yeah, 3 new signings there: Murillo, Camavinga, Tonali. Yeah. And again, this just shows how strong the squad is. You bring in 3 players, all of a sudden the outlook is looking a lot different. I'm gonna go straight away. Amad Diallo in the 10. Yeah. You could have Amad, you could play Kobe there, you could play Cunha there, you could play Joshua Zirkzee if need be. Yeah. Now, for me, yeah, there's people that are criticizing Amad, you know, not really backing the Amad at the moment, thinking he should be on the bench. Yeah. I'm telling you this now. If you play Amad centrally and get him more involved in the game, you've got a potential world beater on your hands there. I'm telling you, because I've said this about the reason why we need to move on from Bruno Fernandes, yeah, is because Bruno takes away from a lot of the attackers, because everything is revolved around Bruno Fernandes, you know. And there's fans out there of Bruno that are more interested in Bruno thriving and other players being moved on. You know, this is a team game. I would much rather get more from 4 attackers than get something from just 1. So again, you play Amad as a 10, yeah, I guarantee you will see an increase in Amad's game. And let's not forget as well, yeah. If people are worried about Amad's physicality, don't be worried. If you've got Camavinga and Tonali behind him that are both physical as well and can both get around the pitch, Amad gets around the pitch. Amad gets around the pitch. You know, he's tenacious. He's got quality, and he can get goals as well and assists. So for me, I want to see Amad next season being moved to a central position. That's going to increase Amad's game. That's going to get him more involved. Because at the moment, Amad spends too much time on the periphery of the game. You know, and because when you've got Bruno there that hogs everything, you know, again, Cunha's playing out of position because obviously Bruno's playing as that support striker. Zirkzee don't get game time. I'd much rather get Amad, Cunha, Zirkzee, Kobe Manu, even Mbeumo, Sesko. I'd much rather getting them thriving than having just one player in Bruno Fernandes hogging up everything, you know. And as I said, Amad in the 10, yeah, Kobe in the 10, Cunha in the 10, Zirkzee in the 10. I want to see us go that way next season. And if you've got that midfield behind it, we're going to thrive. We are, no doubt. Niche fan says, Camavinga for 45 mil. Sorry, Gav, I can't see that. Is it to do with his past injuries? Now, listen, there's been talk about Real Madrid. And again, this is what Real Madrid do, yeah? Real Madrid just go for the next big name. And the fact that Camavinga has been talked about as being moved on, we have to be in the ring for Camavinga. You know, I know people don't rate the injuries, etc., but he's fit now. That's the main thing, yeah? And if they were saying with Camavinga's injuries, yeah, if they were saying like 80 to 90 million, you know, I'd understand people looking past the Camavinga. But with what's been reported, 45 million for a Camavinga, you know, we cannot be turning our nose up at that because he's one of the best midfielders when he's fit in the world. Like, no doubt he is. You know, go and look at the metrics that I streamed about the other day in where he stands. He's right up there for possession and for you know, ball retention. So just go and have a look at it. He's right at the top. And he's a top player for me. So 45 million. Yeah, listen, we cannot be turning our nose up at 45 million for a player of that level because he's that good. So yeah, man, 100% I'll be looking at Camavinga, you know. Ahmad is a 10, never been anything other than that. And I'm glad you come out that niche fan, yeah, because the fact that he's been playing so much of his career as a winger, people now have it in their heads that he's actually a winger. The guy is naturally a number 10, you know, and as I said, playing in one of the hardest leagues in the world in a championship, just go and have a look at what he was doing for Sunderland, you know. And I believe the fact that Ahmad's been indifferent in form has a lot to do with where he's playing. This is a guy that Amorim had the cheek to play at wingback. You know, I don't think people deep how much of a disgrace that is. You don't play a guy as naturally talented as Ahmad as wingback. Doesn't make any sense, yeah? And obviously, he spent the majority of his career out wide. I want to see next season us go in a direction where Ahmad's playing in the 10, getting him more involved in the game. Because otherwise, his form for me is going to still be indifferent if you continuously play him out wide. He's a player that needs to be central to what we're doing, getting involved. And I think if you've got a midfield like that behind him, he's going to thrive, no doubt, you know. So let's see. Okay, so doesn't mean that we can't afford Camavinga. Again, his wage will be an issue because I think he might be on about 250 or 300 grand a week or something like that. But I reckon Camavinga would happily take a pay cut coming to United if it meant he was on, let's say, 200 grand a week. I think he'll take the pay cut because, again, he needs to get his career back on track, really. So, yeah, I think he'll take a pay cut, man, no doubt. And as I said, 45 million for a player of that level, we have to be interested. You know, it's annoying that there ain't been too much noise around it. But, yeah, man, we need to be getting that over the line, no doubt. So he's on similar wages to Casemiro. And if you consider Madrid to United being a downgrade, I'm sure he'll reduce the wages a bit too. Again, big up Exedra. As I said, I think Camavinga would lower his wage for coming to Man United because he'll be looking at the fact here that he's what, 23 now, I think 24. Again, this is a guy that made his debut at 15 for Rennes, if you remember. You know, made his debut for Rennes at 15. This is a guy that will know to himself that his time at Real Madrid hasn't gone the way that it was meant to. And, you know, coming to a club like Man United that are on the up, you know, he'll be looking at that really as an opportunity that he could be a fundamental part of the team, you know, because partnering him with Tonali, there's not a better midfield for me as a 2 in the Premier League. There's not. So, yeah, man, I'm hoping that we can be in the race for Camavinga, no doubt. So where does it leave Kobe with if we get Camavinga and Baleba? But again, people shouldn't be looking at where does it leave Kobe, yeah? Because we're Manchester United. Remember the days we had 4 strikers, yeah? If we want to get back to the very top, yeah, it shouldn't be about where would it leave Kobe. It needs to be about Kobe now needs to step up his game if he wants to get regular game time. And this is what it should be. Because if we've got a four of Camavinga, Baleba, Tonali, and Kobe will get his game. And how Kobe stays in the team is obviously going to be down to him. That's what needs to happen. Not to mention, I wouldn't mind seeing Kobe playing the 10 as well. So there's two positions that Kobe can play. But it will come down to with how well he's performing, you know, and competition for places. That's what needs to happen. So, yeah, Champions League football, Premier League football, Carabao Cup, FA Cup, Kobe will get his game time. And again, we need to be building to having a midfield like that, you know. And if Kobe's on the bench, then at least we've got a strong bench. You know what I mean? But again, it'll be down to Kobe to show that why he's highly thought of like that. And I believe he can do that. So there's no problem with me with Kobe Minor in that sense. So Lumi Rain says Rice and Zubi, Caicedo and Enzo, Tonali and Bruno G, Soboslai and McAllister. Camavinga and Tonali is better than anything there. Because Rice and Zubamendi, I don't rate. Caicedo and Enzo, I rate Caicedo, but Enzo, I don't think is as good as Caicedo. Tonali and Bruno Guimaraes is a good partnership, but I think Camavinga, you know, is an upgrade on that when he's fit on Bruno Guimaraes. And Soboslai and McAllister, I don't rate like that because Soboslai is having a very good season, you know, but what I would say is if Soboslai is Liverpool's best midfielder, it's a worry. And that isn't because he ain't a good player, but this is a team that's had the likes of Thiago Alcantara in there, you know, Philip Coutinho as a 10, you know, and Soboslai had a good season. But if you've got Soboslai as your main midfielder, it means that your midfield ain't really doing what it's supposed to be doing, really. So, yeah, Camavinga and Tonali, for me, is an upgrade on anything on that list, Lumi. No doubt. No doubt. Because if I'm taking one player from each of that partnership, yeah, I'm only taking either Caicedo or Tonali. And again, we're not getting Caicedo, and hopefully we get Tonali. So, yeah, that's how I see it, man. Yeah, listen, the Elliot Anderson one, I'll be honest, yeah. I like Anderson. I do think Anderson's a good player, yeah. But would I take Elliot Anderson ahead of Tonali? I wouldn't. Would I take him ahead of Camavinga? I wouldn't. I think Anderson's getting the hype, as we know, because he's English. He is a good player, but it's one of them things where he still hasn't really done nothing in his career, if we're being honest. He hasn't. He's only come to the fore recently, you know, and I know Man City are looking at him, but as we know, Man City are looking at him because, for one, it's the quota of English players that they need to have in their squad, for one. And again, it's like it's an up-and-coming player, and I hear it. But give me Camavinga, Tonali, Baleba any day if it meant missing out on Anderson. And I think Anderson goes to Man City anyway. So, yeah. But I do rate him, but we need to get Camavinga, man. Get Camavinga. Yeah, big up, man. Big up. Go, Man United. Glory, Man United, should I say. Yeah, big up, man. Yeah, I've heard Tonali wants to go back to Italy, but Man United need to stop that from happening. It's just that simple, you know. Big up Fitz says Caminali would be better than anything the league has seen in 15 years minimum. Bro, I mean, name me a midfield pairing in the last 15 years that can top that, really. As a midfield pairing. You know, I don't think there is. I think Rodri and Gundogan, you'd probably say. Yeah, I can't think of any two better than that two. You know what I mean? I can't think of any two because you'll be getting two players there that are two of the best midfielders in the world. No doubt. And I think people are sleeping on Camavinga because Camavinga's been out, obviously injured, and obviously he's been in and out of the Real Madrid team. We need to capitalize on the fact that he's in and out of the Real Madrid team and take him at United. Because I'm saying you now, he's a top player, man. Top player. Yeah, but listen, but Baleba is coming. Like, Baleba is going to be signed. Like, it's obvious. It's obvious he's going to come to the club. Do I think Baleba should be number one signing for United? I don't. Not when you've got Camavinga and Tonali out there, you know. But I'll be happy if Tonali. I mean, I'll be happy if if Baleba is the third midfielder. If it meant we got Camavinga and Tonali, because what an acquisition of a midfield that would be, and we've got Kobe there already as well. You know, it's crazy, man. Big up to Clockenders. Big up, my guy. Yeah, guys, if you haven't seen the stream yesterday, myself and Fitz, give that a check. It was our Spurs all-time 11 post-90s era. So, yeah, give that a check when you get time. We are going to be doing it, obviously, next week. Same time on Thursday. We are moving to Spain now. Obviously, we've done all the Premier League teams, the major Premier League teams. And we're moving to Spain. And again, check out the post, guys. What one would you prefer me and Fitz to discuss next? Is it the 96 to 2008 Barcelona era, or the 2008 to 2017? So yeah, let me know. But they'll be the next ones we'll be discussing next. Barcelona. Fitz and Gav, my daily question for you: who is the best ever Premier League player above 33? Well, that's a mad one. I don't even know. The best ever Premier League player above 33. Lumi, I'll be honest, I don't even know, man. I'll let the chat answer that one. Because how do we determine that? Like, that's a difficult question to answer, to be honest with you. I'm not normally ever stuck for words, but yeah, answering that question is a bit mad. Because how do we determine who's the best ever Premier League player above 33? That's a difficult one. Yeah, guys, I'll get back onto your questions and comments in a minute. Just gonna carry on with the team. So, guys, yeah, listen. The 4-2-3-1 at the moment. So we've got Lamens in goal, Mazraoui at right back, Patrick Dorgu left back, Murillo and De Ligt, Camavinga, Tonali in the midfield, Ahmad in the 10, which leaves 3 spaces. You know, and again, we will go to the 4-3-3 formation as well. But on that left-hand side, guys, I'm looking at a new signing. Yeah. And there's been talk about Yan Diomande. I don't really want Diomande, if I'm honest, you know, because I look at Diomande and we've already got a Diomande in Brian Mbeumo on the right-hand side, you know. And what I like about what we've got right now in our team, yeah, we've got multifunctional players. So if you think of, I'm not a massive fan of Brian Mbeumo, to be honest with you, but Mbeumo playing in his natural position on the right-hand side is going to be better for him. But again, if you want to play a Kobe in the 10 or play a Cunha in the 10 or a Xerxes, let's say, and you want to move Ahmad back out wide, there's that option. But predominantly, I want to see Ahmad playing as a 10 and getting him more involved. But on the right-hand side, you know, you've got options. So you could play, as I say, Mbeumo out there, you know, someone that is a goal threat, and someone playing out there in his natural position, you know, I'd be happy with. So yeah, Brian Mbeumo as the right side attacker, you know, and then on the left-hand side, I'm gonna say Iliman Ndiaye. You know, again, some people might be saying, where's Cunha? Yeah. But this is the beauty of this team, because we don't have to predominantly have, yeah, this lineup every time. But we could potentially have this next season, because I'm looking at 4 new signings in that lineup. Murillo, Tonali, Camavinga, Iliman Ndiaye. Yeah. Could we make those 4 signings next season? 100%. I reckon those 4 there is probably going to cost you, yeah, about 200 mil, I would say. about 200 mil. That should cost you, or maybe just over. If you're looking at Tonali, Tonali would cost what, about 70 to 80 million, I reckon. Hopefully, you know, I think Newcastle might actually price him at 100, but if we can get him for about 70 to 80, you know, you look at Murillo for about 50, Camavinga 45, Njai about 60. Yeah, you're looking at close to about 250 mil. You know, and if you're looking at the fact that we can move on Rashford's wages, you move on Bruno's wages, you move on obviously Højlund's going. Obviously, I'd like to bring Sancho back, but Sancho's gonna go. You move on Ugarte, Mason Mount. That's already 6 players, yeah? You think of moving on those players for money and the wages, we can afford that easy. Absolutely easy. And that team right there I'm looking at, yeah, so far has everything. You know, you've got pace in the wide areas from Patrick Dorgu as well, from the overlapping. So look, you got pace in the wide areas and trickery from Iliman, Njai, and Mbuemo. Creativity and tenacity from Ahmad. You got the defensive structure and the solidity of Camavinga and Tonali. And again, you know, both players can be progressive in their passing. Both players can get around the pitch. Both are physically strong as well. You know, you've got a solid partnership there of Murillo and De Ligt, left-footed centre-back, right-footed centre-back. Defensive nous of Mazraoui. Like that team there is very good. And you know what I like about this team, yeah? Right down the middle of the team, it looks solid. 2 solid centre-backs in physicality in Murillo and De Ligt. Camavinga and Tonali the same. And Ahmad has physicality as well in terms of his tenacity as well. So that team all of a sudden looks very good. Not to mention, yeah, the players that are not included that can easily come into this team. Lenny Yoro, Aiden Heaven, Kobe Mainu, Carlos Baleba, Matthias Cunha in backup. And all of a sudden, the bench is looking ridiculous. And again, these players, yeah, can easily be, you would say, on the bench as well. And that's how you build a strong squad. Yeah. And then we go to the striker. You know, you guys know where I'm going with this as well. A guy that is massively underrated. You know, what's happening there? Sorry, guys, 1 minute. Oh my God. Is that cleared it? Right, guys, bear me 1 minute. I don't know what's happened there. My trying to put the players back out again. Let's go to the 4-2-3-1. So right, guys, it's been me 1 minute. I should put the team back out again. Right, so The last position here, guys, yeah, which for some reason is not letting me click onto it. I don't know why that's happening. It's odd. I don't know what's going on there. There we go. Is Joshua Zirkzee, guys. Now, a guy that for me, yeah, is massively underrated. Massively underrated for me. You know, I think if you don't like Joshua Zirkzee's qualities, then for me, I don't really understand it, because for me, he's a top player, Joshua Zirkzee. You know, and I think I'm hoping he stays next season, because I think, you know, we've got a striker there that we're gonna regret letting go, man, if he does, because, you know, for me, a player like him is just too easy to just say that he's not good enough. You know, he hasn't really been given the run of games that he needs. You know, any player coming into a team needs continuity, you know, and 1 minute he's in the team, 1 minute he's out the team. And I just believe if he gets given his flowers next season, depending on who the manager is, you know, I do think Carrick likes him. But the thing is, I've mentioned, you know, many times, Carrick is just doing what he needs to do in terms of him being in the frame for the job, you know, and the fact that Xerxes been out injured, you know, and he's picking certain players to probably just try and get him results. You can see what he's doing. I think if Carrick gets the job next season and he can properly assess the team and see what he wants to use moving forwards, I think he's going to like Xerxes. You know what I mean? Because, you know, we know Carrick likes to play with a false nine, you know, and again, the fact that we've got Xerxes and Sesko, you've got two different profile of players. And I'm happy with both of them. I don't believe, yeah, that we need to go out and get another striker. I just think we need to just be focusing on that midfield, you know, getting the right players in the right positions, you know, and I think we can go from there. And the fact that I'm looking at this team right now, yeah, and then we've got players in reserve, yeah. So I'm looking at what? 4 new signings there to go straight into the lineup, you know. And then if you've got money to play with and you want to go and improve the fullback areas, cool. But I'm looking at that team right now, and that team for me of Lamens in goal, Mazraoui and Dorgu as the fullbacks, Delict, Murillo, Tonali, Camavinga, Mbeumo, Ahmad, Iliman Njai, Joshua Zirkzee. You cannot tell me, yeah, that isn't a team there that should at least be aiming for second place as a minimum in the Premier League. And then you think of the players backing up as well. You know, Kobe Mainu, if Dallo stays, cover for Mazraoui. You know, if we get a left back to compete with Dorgu, you got Yoro, Aiden Heaven, Kobe Mainu, Carlos Baleba, Matthias Cunha, Benjamin Sesko. You know, and if we go and make some shrewd signings as well, or you want to bring some more youth into there, the likes of Shea Lacey, you know, JJ Gabriel on the bench as well. All of a sudden, yeah, this team looks frightening. It does look frightening, I'm telling you. You know, and I'll be very happy with that team. Very, very happy with that team. Although as well, again, I'm going to change the formation. We could go with a 4-3-3. So we could change this to a 4-3-3, yeah? He's messing up. I'm just going to so if we change this to a 4-3-3, yeah, we could go with, you know, if you want to go with a 4-3-3, you could take out Mbeumo from there and then put Kobe there as well. So you could put Kobe there as one of the 3. You could do that. Yeah. You could either take out, if you wanted to. So if we take out Kobe and then put Baleba for the balance as a left-sided central midfielder, And again, the reason why I think Baleba would be good in the 4-3-3, because he'd have the legs to get out to the wide areas and help if it's a Dorgu out there as a left back who'll help in the wide areas with his physicality and his pace. So that would be a good option there. Again, if you want to take out Camavinga for argument's sake, and then you put in Tonali, full player. So you could put Tonali there. And then you could put Kobe on this side. You could put Kobe there with Baleba on the left and Tonali in the middle in certain games. Or you could even take out Tonali and put Camavinga there if you wanted to. You know, and then go probably for, you know, if you want to play Camavinga slightly deeper to just, you know, dictate the tempo of a game and have Kobe slightly withdrawn as well, and then use Baleba's legs to press. You could do loads of different things in the wide areas as well. You know, you could have Cunha here if you wanted to, as a left 10. I mean left 10 as a wide forward. You know, Cunha could go there. You could have Sesko in here as well. You know, so you could play Ahmad, Sesko, Cunha, or you could put Mbeumo, Sesko, Cunha, Mbeumo, Xerxes, Cunha, Mbeumo, Xerxes, Iliman Ndiaye. So again, what we could do in this team, yeah, is crazy. With just the addition, yeah, of what? Murillo, Camavinga, Baleba, Iliman Ndiaye, and Tonali. What we could do with that team is mad in a 4-3-3 or a 4-2-3-1. And again, this is something, yeah, that I want to see us look at for next season. You know, as I said, Adam Wharton is a player I would love Man United to get. But if I had my choice of midfielders, it would be the Camavinga, Tonali, Baleba for me. You know, I mean, and again, Casemiro's definitely going as well, which is frustrating. So which means that for me, Casemiro going, and you know, hopefully we move on Bruno Fernandes as well. Mate, listen, I don't think we'll be. I think we're going to be all right in the midfield if we get done what needs to happen. You know, so that's what I'm kind of looking at anyway. You know, but guys, let me know what you think. Let me know what you think. Let me just stop sharing this screen. So I'll run through it again with the original team. So the 4-2-3-1. If I get rid of the screen actually, because it's not going to make sense. So again, the 4-2-3-1, guys, with Lamens in goal, the back four of Mazraoui, Dorgu as the fullbacks, Murillo and De Ligt as the centre backs, and then you got Yoro, Heaven backing him up centre back. Obviously the fullbacks, you know, if Dalot stays as cover, whoever's at left back, if you bring someone in or as cover, and then Tonali, Camavinga as the midfield two, Ahmad in the 10, Mbeumo from the right, Iliman Ndiaye on the left, and then Xerxes as a striker. Or you could change and put Cunha from the left, you know, but there's competition for places there. You know, if you want to play Sesko through there in some games as well. Or if you go to the 4-3-3, you could play Kobe, Camavinga, Tonali, Baleba, Tonali, Camavinga, Baleba, Kobe, Tonali. There's so many different options you can play in there. And in the front three, you got Ahmad that can play, as I say, on the right for the front three. Him and Mbeumo on that right-hand side. You know, if you're going to bring through Shea Lace to get some games as well, Xerxes and Sesko through the middle, Iliman, Njai, and Cunha as the left options. So again, there is definitely some top options, man, that we can be looking at. But it's going to mean getting in those three midfielders, the left winger, and Murillo for me is a must as well. In terms of priority, the midfielders are the essential ones, the three midfielders for me. And then I will go three midfielders. I would go. Yeah, I would go personally. Yeah, I would go three midfielders first. I think Murillo would be the next one, and then Iliman and Njai. But if we can get all five of them, I think they'll have to go down as one of the best windows that we've had. You know. Let's go through some of your comments. Guys, make sure you're subbing to the channel. If you're new in here, make sure you smash the like button and make sure you sub to the channel as well. Gav, can we make Clockenders a sub? You know what? Yeah. You know what? That's not a bad one, to be fair. You know what? Clockenders. Yeah, don't worry. I'll do that. I'll do that after the stream. Providing you don't come out with any more nonsense about Arsenal. But yeah, no, I'll make him a mod after the stream's ended. In actual fact, let me do it right now, just so I don't forget. Bear me 1 minute. All right, let's do this. Right, guys, bear me 1 minute. I'm just gonna try and see if I can add him in now. Clockenders, I think I've added you as a mod. I think I've got the right one. Let me see. Yeah, Clockenders, man. I think I might have added you as a mod, man. Big up, because you're a regular viewer of the channel as well. So yeah, big up to yourself, man. Give that a check when you get it ready, man. When you get time. Yeah, big up Lumi. Big up to Mojo. Says, with Tonali's profile, we'd have to buy someone else to complement him. I'd rather we go for Walton and Baleba. But you know what I'd say, Black Mojo, yeah? The reason why, I mean, I'm happy to get Adam Walton. I am, you know what I mean? But the reason why I think this is why I'm saying Camavinga, yeah? Because Tonali's tenacious, but Tonali is technical as well, yeah? And this is why I'm saying Camavinga, because Camavinga can do both sides. Camavinga's technical and he's tenacious as well. So this is why I'm saying, yeah, if we're looking at Adam Walton's a controller, yeah, but Camavinga can be that as well. So this is why I'm saying Camavinga-Tonali partnership is perfect, because you've got two players there that are tenacious, and you've got two players that are very good in possession and can dictate the tempo of a game, you know. But I agree. This is why I'm saying Camavinga over Adam Walton. And again, if we couldn't get Camavinga, then we would need to get Walton, Baleba, and Tonali for me. You know, and the reason why I'm saying the Camavingas of this world is because he's left-footed to add balance to the team. But yeah, big up, man. That's a good point. But yeah, Camavinga, Tonali, and Baleba for me, man. Niche fan says my ultimate pairing would be Anderson and Camavinga. That's a great pairing, but for me, and it might be unpopular to many, but I'm having Tonali ahead of Anderson. And that isn't because Anderson's not good enough, yeah. But Tonali, for me, is one of the best midfielders in the world. I don't think we can say Anderson is one of the best midfielders in the world yet off of one season. I don't think we can say that. But Tonali's been one of the best midfielders in the world over the last couple of seasons. So I hear it with Anderson, but if it meant Tonali or Anderson, I'm saying Tonali. Oh, you know what? I just clocked something. Just clocked something. Guys, 1 minute. I just clocked something. I don't think I've... where is it? No, it didn't work. Right, let's check this. Yeah, clock enders, bro. You should be a mod now. Just checked it. You should be a mod now. Big up. Camavinga and Tonali for me is the best. 100%. 100%. Bruno Guimaraes. You know what, yeah? This might come as a shock to people, yeah? I don't actually want Bruno Guimaraes. And I'll tell you why, yeah? Because Bruno Guimaraes, for me, is a leader. He is, yeah? For Newcastle. But the profile that we need for our midfield, for me, and I look at Tonali, what he has over Bruno Guimaraes. Tonali's better in possession than Bruno Guimaraes. He's more technical than him as well. Yeah. And if I'm looking at, because again, the left-footed player is what we need because for balance, yeah. This is why Camavinga, Baleba, Walton are all in the frame in how I see Man United, in what I want to see Man United target. Yeah. So if you've got someone in Camavinga who's the ultimate one for me, who's left-footed, he's a no-brainer. The reason why I'm saying Baleba, because he's also a left-footed player as well. Now, what Baleba would offer for me is the tenacity, you know, the ball carrying as well from midfield. And we need a player like that there, and he's left-footed. So you'll be getting Camavinga and Baleba, one who's the box-to-box, the ball progressor as well. In I say box-to-box. I mean in Camavinga, you know, he can do literally both parts of the game. Yeah. Whereas Baleba for me is more adept to, you know, being more the box-to-box. So I think both of them are essential to get, you know, two left-footed players. And then because you've got Kobe there already, you know, who is the composed one in midfield. And I think Tonali offers the technical and the tenacity in midfield. I think Bruno Guimaraes is not really that needed, in my opinion. You know, I think if we already had the profiles we had already, yeah, and it meant that you needed the Bruno Guimaraes, for example, as the missing piece, then I'd more hear it. But I think for what we need, I'm looking at Bruno Guimaraes as the last option, because Guimaraes for me is more of he's all energy. He's all energy. And I think we don't really particularly need that, because if we are going to get that, I'd much rather get a left-footed version of that, because we need that for the balance. And if we get a Tonali for me is better than Bruno Guimaraes as a midfielder. So, and that's what we need. But I do think Bruno G is a good player, but I don't think Bruno Guimaraes leaves Newcastle anyway. You know? So you need to get Champions League before you even debate players. I hear it, but we're gonna get Champions League, man. There's no doubt. There's no doubt because put it this way, yeah, we're gonna be getting Champions League football because Liverpool, Chelsea are simply not good enough. That's basically what it is. So we're gonna get it, man. No doubt. No doubt. Um, yeah, big up Foxy Danny, big up yourself. So Niche fan says we need wingers though. Embuemo has been shocking, and Cunha isn't a winger. But again, this is why, yeah. It's a great question, yeah. Niche fan, yeah. Embuemo has been shocking. He has, and again, I'm not a massive fan of Embuemo. If I'm being serious, yeah, I just think with Embuemo he's a goal threat. But if he's not scoring goals, he's more or less next to useless, really. Yeah. And I'd much rather see Embuemo as an impact sub. But when you've paid what 60 million for Embuemo, you've kind of got to justify him getting game time. Yeah. And Cunha ain't a winger. Cunha's a 10. He is. But if I'm looking at this is why I'm telling you, yeah, I want to have overlapping fullbacks. And this is why I want Patrick Dorgu. Because if we can set up in a way where you've got your fullbacks high, yeah. And again, this is why Murillo is a must signing for me over. This is why I want Murillo over Lisandro Martinez, yeah. Because if you want to keep your fullbacks high and they can offer the overlapping, which will allow your wide forwards, let's say, to come infield, you need to have pace at the back. And if you've got Murillo that is quick in the wide areas, who's physically strong, and he has that over Lisandro Martinez, this is why I want to see Patrick Dorgu play as a left back. You know, and if we can get a right back like that, so Masraoui for me is bit more defensive. This is how I want to see the team progressing. And this is why I'm saying Murillo is a needed signing, because he ticks the boxes in what I want to see ahead of Lisandro, you know. And again, if we are looking at wingers or wide forwards, do I think we particularly need to go and get a left-footed right winger? Again, we invested in Embuemo. So unless we sell Embuemo and go and get someone else, which ain't going to happen, it's pointless talking about Embuemo being replaced. The Cunha one, as I said, Iliman Ndiaye for me, if we're looking at Premier League based. I don't want Yandi Amande, if I'm honest. I'd rather get Iliman Ndiaye because he's in the profile of a Cunha. So yeah, this is where I think we need to be. We need to be looking at, for me, you know. I'd rather we go all in for Walton, since we don't have that type of profile in our setup. Then we can go for Baleba or Tonali. I hear it, man. But I think if we're looking at it like this, yeah, if we're basing it on, let's say for instance, Black Mojo, yeah, let's say for instance we don't get Camavinga, then Adam Wharton for me is a must signing. That's what I'm looking at. So if we get, for me, my first choice would be Baleba, would be Camavinga, Tonali, Baleba. If we don't get Camavinga, then I'm happy with Wharton, Baleba, Tonali. That's what I'd pivot to, because I rate Wharton highly, but I can't look past Camavinga to go and get Wharton. For me personally, I can't do that. Even though I know Wharton he's highly technical, he's a controller. I get that, but I can't look past Camavinga. Camavinga's would be for me the main target, you know, because I think that midfield of Baleba, Camavinga, Tonali is frightening. But again, if we don't get Camavinga, then for me, Wharton, Baleba, Tonali, I'll be happy with. Yeah, Walton's a top player. Clock Enders. He's a top player, man. He's a top player, man. He is. Big up to Lumi Rain. Big up yourself, Lumi. Big up. Yeah, big up yourself each and every time. So Tonali 80, Camavinga 50, United tax. Niche fan, tell me you wouldn't take that right now. Tell me you wouldn't take that. Tonali for 80, Cama for 50. Listen, that'll be the steal of the century. It would be. Because these two players really are £100 million players. They are. If we're looking at the fact that Declan Rice cost 100 million, these two are easily £100 million players. But if you're getting both of them for less than 100 mil, go and do that deal straight away. That's what I'm trying to say. Niche fan, you're talking my language. Big up yourself. I want Sancho back. Bro, you know my thoughts on Sancho anyway. I'd bring Sancho back. But I think it's likely that he's going to be moved on. So again, I'm not going to waste my time. But I'd want Sancho back because I think Sancho back in a possession-based team with his qualities, listen, you'll get the best out of him. It's just unfortunate that he's been playing. He was at Man United where he wasn't afforded the licenses that other players have. But yeah, I'll take Sancho back. But if not, then we have to go and get Iliman and Jai for me. You know, it's that simple, man. Fitz, I'm telling you, bro, that team I've put out wins the league. It does. It does. I'm confident. I'm confident. You don't rate the licks? Nah, that's crazy, man. That's crazy. That's crazy. That's crazy. The fact that we've got the licks and Euro together, yeah, is crazy because, as I said, the licks a top player. Euro for me is potentially one of the best young centre backs in the world. But I rate the lick highly, man. The lick, I think the lick's underrated. The lick's underrated for me. And again, we keep Harry Maguire. We've got his experience as well as a fifth choice centre back. You know what I mean? And all of a sudden, man, this team's got something about it. I'm telling you. Baleba's not coming here to sit on the bench, though. Let's forget Tonali. What do you mean Baleba's not coming to sit on the bench? Listen, if we get Camavinga and Tonali, Baleba will have to spend time on the bench. He'll be part of a rotation. He would. Like, this is a step up for Baleba coming from Brighton to United. Because Tonali and Camavinga, in terms of their level and where they're at in their careers right now, are ahead of Baleba. But Baleba being on the bench, that's how we get better. Because there'll be games that Baleba will start. And let's say Baleba's playing to a level, you never know. He could force a Camavinga on the bench. This is how you get better. So we cannot ignore Tonali. Tonali is a signing that needs to be made. Needs to be made. So yeah, I hear it, man. But saying Baleba's not going to come here to sit on the bench, I think is wrong thinking. If we've got Baleba, Tonali, Camavinga, and Kobe Mainu, that four there is very good. It's very good. I'm telling you. And exactly, you need a squad to compete on all four fronts. Exactly. Bro, me and technology, yeah, leave it to one side, man. I'm telling you, bro. I'm telling you, man. Me and technology just does not work, man. I'm telling you, man. It's a joke. I need to just hire someone for this, to be honest with you, you know. Gav, which Man United player has the most technical skills in your opinion, and who do you think will replace Casemiro? Big up Foxy Danny. So, who's the most technically gifted at Man United? Joshua Zirkzee. He's the most technically gifted at Man United. For me, it's Zirkzee and Ahmad. They're the most technically gifted players at United. And who do I think will replace Casemiro? It's not who do I think. Well, I think who do I think and who will replace him is a bit of a different question, yeah? For me, who do I think needs to replace Casemiro? I've said it already, Camavinga and Tonali. Them two especially need to replace Casemiro. Them two. You've got one player coming from Real Madrid, another player that Real Madrid would want. So we have to bring them in to replace Casemiro. Arsenal peaked with a dial-up 33 10s. What, Jim? Sick team, Gav, minus Zirkzee. Nah, bro, listen. If you think Gyökeres is better than Zirkzee, think again, man. I think people are sleeping on Zirkzee because the reason people sleep on Zirkzee is because he's playing in this country. This country don't respect footballers like Zirkzee. It's that simple. So usually when you're getting people that are criticizing Zirkzee, it don't really surprise me. It don't really surprise me because we know the kind of players that are rated in this country. It's that simple. But Zirkzee is a highly technical player, man. And Kobe's up there as well. Forgot Kobe. But if I had to pick the three most gifted players at Man United, yeah, Zirkzee, Ahmad, and Kobe, they're the three most technically gifted players at United. I'd argue that with anyone. Niche fan says my team would be Lemens, Mazraoui, Yoro, Heaven, Dorgu, Baleba, Camavinga, Ahmad, Diamande, Cunha, Sesko. I hear it. And again, that's not a bad team. Not for me, though. Not for me. As I said, again, Heaven and Euro for me are the future, yeah? But if we are going to compete on all fronts and there's going to be bound to be, fatigue and injuries, I wouldn't mind Euro and Heaven as backup for the moment to De Ligt and Murillo. Because De Ligt is experienced. He's a leader. Murillo, for me, would offer again, Murillo's played a full season at Nottingham Forest in a team that's been struggling. So he's going to be bringing that fight to United as well. Not to mention what we've mentioned already in terms of his, of what he has, in terms of his physicality and his pace in the wide areas. So I'd have Murillo and De Ligt for me and have Euro and Heaven, as the backup. But they'll be getting their game time anyway because it's going to be a long season, Dorgu, yep. I would start Tonali and Camavinga, as you guys already know, and have Baleba there as a rotation. Ahmad, yes, in the 10. I wouldn't go for Diamande for me personally. As I said, Iliman Ndiaye over Diamande because Diamande for me is another Mbeumo, and we've already got one already. If Mbeumo wasn't there, then I'd more hear the Diamande one. But go and get me a technical player rather than a runner. And that's why I want to see Iliman Ndiaye. And again, you're putting Cunha in a 10. Yeah, I hear it. But again, we've got other options there. And then you're saying Sesko. Again, listen, I'm not discounting that team. There is a few changes I would make. But the fact that we're talking about already, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We've got 8 players from that lineup you're saying already at the club is a good sign. You know what I mean? So, yeah, I hear it. Zirkzee is leaving. He doesn't want to be here anymore. He doesn't get a game. I'm not so sure Zirkzee's leaving. I mean, I know there's speculation. If I'm Joshua Zirkzee, that I am contemplating it because a player of his quality should be getting more game time. But I think Zirkzee is going to wait to see what's on play next season because if it's a new manager might rate Zirkzee. If it's Carrick, unless he has a conversation with Carrick to see where he stands, you never know. But I don't think we can say Zirkzee is going to go because if you remember, yeah, you know, the club blocked him from going in January, along with Kobe. So the club do rate him, but I think with Xerxes, he's going to be waiting to see what's going to be on offer next season in terms of management and where his place is in the squad. And I think that's right. You know, I'm hoping Xerxes goes with Holland to the World Cup, but at the moment it's looking unlikely because of him not getting game time. So let's hope after the international break he figures a lot more. Yeah, big up Exedra, bro. Listen, I'm praying we don't move him on. I'm praying. Yeah, Fitz, bro. We spoke about Guevara Reed already. Yeah, listen, I'll definitely take him, but I don't know if we go for him because it might be a case where the club might look at it, he's too young to be bringing in as a starting right back. Or I mean, I'll bring him as backup to Mazraoui, but if I want to see our overlapping fullbacks, again, we know that's, I mean, Dallow's more suited to that than Mazraoui, but I think we need to move on Dallow. So for me, I'd much rather see, and again, this just shows you, I mean, Hakimi is the ideal profile, but we're not getting, obviously not getting Hakimi. But if we did bring in Guevara Reed, I'd be happy with that, you know. But I don't know if we're going to go and get a right back of that age, really. Who knows? Alphonso Davies, again, spoke about him before, top player. I know another injury guy as well. Kobe, Baleba, Cunha Sesko. Bro, we've got a good squad, man, if we just make the right signings, put it that way. No doubt. Right, so I'm going to go through a couple more of your questions and comments, guys, before we wrap it up. Yeah, I heard that, Fitz, man. Dallow being linked to Real. I mean, it's not a good sign for Trent, is it? Let's be honest. Unless they're looking at Dallow as the replacement for Danny Carvajal. And yeah, look at this, guys. Look at this, yeah? Imagine we move on, yeah? And again, all these players for me would need to be moved on, no doubt. The only one I'm making a case for is Sancho, because I think Sancho's qualities will be much more suited to what's going on now, but it's looking likely he's going to go. But we move on Onana, Rashford, Anthony, Højlund, Malacia, Luke Shaw, Dallow, Bruno, Bayinde. And if Sancho goes, you cannot tell me, yeah, that we won't have the budget to go and get what's needed to be improve this team. Telling you. And again, include Mason Mount in there as well. And Ugarte. Include Mount and Ugarte in there. Let's hope, man. It seems too good to be true, though, isn't it? We are getting Kvaratskhelia and Tonali. Yeah, I think Lumi's on the drink again. You know why this don't happen, yeah? Because do you actually think Arsenal are going to spend 200 million? Because that's what it will take to get both of them players for me. And again, Kvaratskhelia is not leaving PSG, by the way. And if Kvaratskhelia was to leave PSG, you know, the starting bid for him would be 100 million. So you're looking at probably 150 mil for Kvaratskhelia. Tonali, again, I'm hoping we can get him for cheaper, but Newcastle might price him at 100 mil as a starting bid. So again, the thing with Arsenal, yeah, is that Arsenal have already set their stall with their squad. Yeah, because there's reports that Arsenal are looking at Rodrigo, Kvaratskhelia, and Anthony Gordon. Out of all three of them, the likely one's Anthony Gordon. But Kvaratskhelia and Rodrigo, they're not going to. Arsenal can't get those type of players because Kvaratskhelia and Rodrigo, for a start, are going to be asking for Bukayo Saka money. That's what you do know. Yeah. Will Arsenal give those two players that kind of money? I don't know. Will they fork out that amount of money to get both of them? And not to mention, will those two players want to leave where they are right now? Again, these are the questions. Can cricket be a mod if he pays his bet? Listen, if cricket mans up, yeah, and pays the bet, who knows? But let me listen. Don't think I've forgotten about your bet either, yeah? Remember, you still owe me £50, by the way. I haven't forgotten. I get the Camavinga shout. Yeah, listen, we need to be putting pressure onto Ineos to get this Camavinga deal in the offing, man. Guys, go on your platforms, man, and just start spamming Camavinga, man. We need to get Camavinga to the theatre of dreams. We need to. The fact that he could be available for 45 mil, yeah, is an absolute steal, man. We need to be doing that. I'm telling you. 3K was a crazy bet to place 1-0 down. Bro, it's idiotic. That's what I call it. It's idiotic. You know what I mean? But no one told cricket to get that excited, you know, but he did. And look what happened. Gav clocked, he accidentally modded Kevin. Nah, listen, I would never make that mistake, modding that guy. You know what I mean? Never made that mistake. Tonali isn't going to another Premier League club. If he decides to leave Newcastle, he's going back to Italy. Boy, unless you're Tonali's agent, I don't know. I don't know how you can say that. I mean, again, there is reports he wants to go back to Italy, but I don't think you can start saying he's not going to go to another Premier League club. That's just based off of hope. And again, you must be a Newcastle fan, so I think for your sake, you probably are thinking that, but that's just based off of hope, really. You know. But I can see us getting Tonali, man. I can see us getting Tonali. Big up to Babs One Diva with the super sticker. Big up. Big up to Clockenders as well with the super sticker. Says Gav's end of season therapist fund. Listen, when you guys fail, all I'm saying, yeah, just make sure you come on the stream because I'll be making an extra effort for that one. You've heard it here first. Yeah, you've heard it here first. But big up to Clockenders. Lumi, you're a joker, you know. Gav's end of season therapy. Go fund me. Hey, listen, it'll be a good therapy session. Don't worry. I promise, yeah. I promise to take it easy. Or maybe I won't. Who knows? But big up to Lumi Rain as well. Ray and nephew, you know. Yeah. Gav's therapy gonna be a bottlenose, a Ray and nephew to celebrate the quadruple. Listen, I might just have to get one of them, man, on the stream. When Arsenal fail, I'm telling you now, the bottle will be coming out. I'm just letting you guys know. I don't drink, but the bottle will be coming out. And that stream could go sideways, I promise. Because that Ray and nephew is no joke. You know what I mean? Why couldn't we sell Mbeumo? I'm deadly serious. He just takes away from Ahmad's game time. Niche fan, I hear it, yeah, but I think it's pointless talking about getting rid of Mbeumo because he's just signed. You know, if I had my way, yeah, I would get rid of Mbeumo. But It's not going to happen, really. You know, but if Mbeumo's an impact sub, let's say, then I wouldn't be too fussed. But if it meant, because again, I want to see Ahmad in the 10. But if you're going to play Ahmad in the 10, then it means that Mbeumo's going to play. You know what I mean? But if you play the 4-3-3, it's either going to be Ahmad or Mbeumo. But as I said, man, I think Mbeumo has his strengths, but he's not a starting player for where we want to go, if I'm honest. But we're not going to sell him. Yeah, listen, Fitch, you was right, man, about the Gunter and AJ one. Yeah, you was right. Comment of the day. Xerxes is mad technical. The league just likes PMP merchants. How can any seasoned football fan not rate technically gifted players? It's beyond me. My introduction to football was Ronaldinho. Big out to Black Mojo King. And Mojo King, this is the problem with the Premier League. You know, I could do a show based just on this talk, because this is something that not only did I experience this when I was obviously in the academies there, this is something that I've spoken about for years. Yeah, it's a massive problem with this game. And although that things are starting to change, yeah, this league, they just rate PMP players. Why do you think they rate Jude Bellingham? Why do you think Jude Bellingham's rated? It's purely because of that. Xerxes doesn't get given the coverage or the respect because it's too easy to say that Xerxes is lazy. But what that is, yeah, that's a lack of understanding for the player that he is. Because people look at him and think, oh, he doesn't run around, he's lazy. He don't do much. But that just shows the lack of understanding from fans, really. Because not rating a player like Xerxes tells me that you don't really know football. It's just that simple, you know? But big up, man. You're going for a left winger, yeah? Okay. Boy, I reckon you guys are most likely to get Anthony Gordon, if I'm honest. I think that's more realistic to get Anthony Gordon. Gav, there's a lot of covert ops in this community. They will sabotage Camera and United before promoting it. I hear it. But the main thing is, Fitz, man, we keep it 100. You know what I mean? Camavinga, Tonali, Baleba, midfield. That's what I want to see. Yeah, big up Joker for life, man. Big up yourself. We need Angelo Stiller. I like Angelo Stiller, but the reason why I'm taking Baleba, Camavinga, and Adam Wharton ahead of Stiller, obviously all four of them are left-footed, yeah. But you've got two players that are Premier League proven. You've got one who for me is a world star. So I think those players will for me be ahead of Stiller. I think the only way Stiller I'd be accepting of Stiller is if we didn't get those three players, Camavinga, Baleba, and Wharton. Then Stiller comes into it because he's left-footed. But I like Stiller. But I think Stiller might be good. I think Stiller's, would be better off going to probably like Spain with his ability, if I'm honest. But I do like him. Big up to Exedra, because he told me about it, Stiller from before as well. See Kama get pocketed last night for the first goal. Again, that's a lie because Camavinga didn't play. He didn't even play. Good try though. Big up to Verbic says Xerxes is indeed technical. He literally has won a six-tuple with Bayern. Yeah, listen, he's a top player, man. Top player, but we already know that anyway. Like, I'm not gonna let no one sway me off Joshua Zirkzee, man, because you don't ignore good footballers. It's just that simple. Right, guys, I'm gonna wrap it up anyway. I got to shoot. Got to get something to eat as well, man. And I had nothing to eat yet. But yeah, listen, big up to yourselves for coming through. Big up to all the mods each and every time. Guys, make sure you smash the like button on the way out. Help the channel to grow. And again, if you're new in here, make sure you sub to the channel as well. And guys, check out all the other content as well. They're in playlists. Make sure you give a check on that. We done the Spurs all-time 11 yesterday. Again, there might be some surprises in there, you know. But yeah, give that a check. And as I said, I should be live. Well, put it this way, guys. Over the next couple of weeks, I'm going to be active a lot. You know, maybe try and do, you know, 2 streams a day, if anything. And obviously, there will be some uploads as well coming out. But yeah, tomorrow, I'm not too sure yet if I'm live. But I should be live over the weekend. And again, I've got some interesting things that I want to touch on as well, because there was something that I see yesterday, yeah. And this is something that I have to react to because it's just an absolute joke. So yeah, listen, I'll definitely be reacting to that. I might even do that either tomorrow or Sunday. Obviously, international break. Again, England playing tonight against Uruguay. I mean, I don't really care if I'm honest, but I just want to see the World Cup. But yeah, as I said, there will be some content coming out over the next couple of days anyway. And obviously, over the next couple of weeks, should I say. So yeah, keep your eyes peeled. And again, make sure your notifications on as well. And guys, we are going to do, I'm just in the midst of sorting it out. So we will be doing a live Q&A as well for members only. Obviously, yeah, there's things I've got to sort out over the next couple of weeks, which I will be looking at, you know, doing some members only streams. Yeah, a live Q&A, which would be good. As I said, keep your support coming. It's much appreciated. And as I say, yeah, keep spreading the awareness for the channel on your platforms as well. And as I said, yeah, I should be live at some point, either tomorrow or Sunday, but definitely next week. So yeah. But other than that, guys, big up to yourselves. Make sure you're smashing the likes. Make sure you're subbing to the channel. Make sure you share the channel on your platforms. And yeah, I'll catch you guys in a bit. If not, have a good rest of your weekend, or have a good weekend when it starts. Big up.